So there is a subjective error being made. This is my teaching to you. See, there is a subjective error. There's not really something out there to be found. There's no object to be achieved, no goal. Reality is always already the case. God is not the maker out there, the maker of this. You see, if the word is to be used, that mustn't be understood in the self-conditioned sense, source-conditioned sense. Always already the case. That which is always already the case is realized only in the inherent transcending of this subjective error, not the achievement of some objective goal. The self-contraction, the point of view machine, and what it presumes to be reality. The illusions of reality created by point of view. These are the important matters to be understood. The you to which you refer as I, the ego I, you see, is a point of view machine. It is subject to the illusions of the cosmic apparition. The illusions that point of view itself is subject to. Space-time, mass, and so forth. Takes on appearances to point of view. Appearances that are not at all evident when no point of view is assumed. Reality is prior to point of view. That's what is always already the case. Reality is always already the case. That must be realized. The subjective error must be transcended. The search must be transcended. Expanding out into the universe, looking for a universe to believe in. A cosmic principle to believe in, a deity out there, a design that is somehow or other altogether comprehensible. In the Hindu tradition, it's said, you cannot comprehend this Maya. But you're trying to, nonetheless. And religious traditions are based on coming to some agreement about what this Maya is all about, or this appearance, this cosmic appearance, you see. Then periodically, the whole basis for it falls apart. Somebody looks up and this guy says, we're not in the center of this. And immediately the guy's put under house arrest. But eventually it has to be taken into account. So that tradition of authority gets weaker, certainly, and that's what's happened with the Western Christian tradition. It was weakened by further observations that suggested another cosmological design than the one religion had been based on anciently, which was based on earth-based astrological myths, assumptions about the world that could not be upheld after a period of more observation. But you see, there still is a great conflict between the established religious views of the past that are ancient in origin and the view of the cosmos that science is developing. And the play of opposition between these two traditions, it must be called, is quite intense. And these days, in fact, conventional religion is on the ascendant, it seems, at least in the popular domain. So I'm not addressing you in those terms. That is not my teaching. My teaching is not part of this cosmologically originated search. It's not point of view based. This way is about transcending the subjective error, transcending egoity, the root dimension of illusion, the direct, unmediated, transcendental, inherently divine, spiritual condition, self-condition of reality itself, which is always already the case. And therefore no conditional effort realizes truth. No knowledge or experiential summation of reality. Nothing founded on gross, subtle, or causal structures is truth. Fundamental, most fundamental, radical, to the root, self-understanding is required. Not an effort of the psychophysical self within a conceived cosmos or perceived room, already prejudicially assumed to be something or other because of the presumption of point of view itself. Point of view must be examined and transcended. The way of Adidam is means, revelation and means given for such realization, that very realization. So there is a radical understanding that is the foundation of my instruction to you. And the realization is of reality itself, not as some cosmological design or principle. And it's not founded on the structures of the body-mind. It does not preserve point of view, but rather it transcends it perfectly, inherently. Transcending it at its very root, not merely in the play of appearances. So when matters of religion are put to me by devotees, you have to understand I'm addressing you in terms of the fault of your question, which is ego, point of view. This way is not religious, therefore. Not in any but just the broadest use of that term. To the point where it almost has no meaning to use the word, truly, but because religion belongs to a domain of efforts that are point of view based, cosmological in nature, associated with myths of apparent reality as perceived, as observed, and so on. And none of that has anything to do with the realization of reality itself. And reality itself is the only truth, the only real God. All other gods or conceptions of gods are cosmologically and egoically based and are inherently untrue. So Adidam is not anti-religious, it is simply based on a very critical understanding of egoity. And what you all carry with you in your egoic patterning, you see, is part of that whole display of mankind that you are associated with as a presumed separate self or body-mind. And your religious views or beliefs, however deeply held or not, are associated with an idea of a self that is inside or behind or somehow separable from the body-mind and sort of sitting in there somewhere, somehow. And if you were to die and the body fall off, well, it's like taking off a suit and you go elsewhere. Well, there are certainly phenomena that could be observed that indicate continuation after death, but they don't mean this philosophy of independent self-entity. And in any case, they're part of conditional possibility, and therefore of unenlightenment or non-realization. continued egoity, continued bondage, continued point of view destiny. Until you become disillusioned with the destiny of point of view, the impulse to realize reality as it is will not awaken. You will not be moved. Instead, you will continue to resort to the point of view machine, self-contraction machine, and effort of disunion that always wants to be unified with something pick and choose, you see. It's a dilemma. Point of view is contraction, not merely entity. It's contraction of the body-mind, as the body-mind. It's not an inside entity that is happening. There is no inside entity. But this must be realized. The presumption that there is an inside entity is part of the cosmological illusion generated on the basis of point of view, or egoity. It's an idea of point of view that isn't true.